Ready to take things to a new level? This is Level On Up with Sadia.
Welcome, Kaylee Bell. How are you going?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing just dandy. Exciting news you just dropped, I think, a few hours ago. You're adding some more shows to your tour.
Yeah, we sold the first 3 shows out, and then we've added another 7. So there's 18 shows through New Zealand in May, which is, I guess that kind of means there's about 4 shows a weekend, which is a lot. That's a lot of shows. And it's awesome though, because it's just like, I've always wanted to do my very first headline tour, and it's nice to be going to places that aren't all cities, we're starting in my hometown, which is a tiny little country town of 3,000 people, and we're doing 3 shows there because we've sold them out, which is amazing. And yeah, we're going to the major cities, but also we are like really getting into like the nitty gritty, places in New Zealand that don't always get shows and music, which is really, really cool.
Well, it's going to be good to go back home. I'm sure any excuse is any good.
Oh God, I know. I'm like to the boys, like, your washing will be done, Mum will have dinner ready every night. Like, it's going to be pretty amazing to have the boys back, in the hometown. And it's actually the theatre that I first sang at when I was 4 years old with my brother and sister that we're playing at. So it's pretty special.
Do you remember what song it was that you first performed?
Yeah, we did a song called Splish Splash in the variety section of this Country Music Awards, and we were wearing swimming tops, and my mum has it on video. So that was pretty embarrassing.
Can't avoid that one even if you want to.
No, not at all.
Well, you must be enjoying touring because you've just been touring with Ed Sheeran. That's pretty incredible too.
Yeah, it was amazing. And to actually often with supports, you get to do like one support, so you go and do one show and you're done. But with Ed, it was 6 shows over, I think it was 6 weeks. So it felt like our first actual tour we were on, over a period of time. And it just meant we got a lot of time with him and his crew, and they are the best humans in the world. I can't speak highly enough about him and his people and how they treated us and looked after us. And yeah, we got a lot of time with Ed, which was amazing. I didn't expect that as well. So it was really life-changing in a lot of ways, and has just kind of set it up now that, yeah, it's the only way I'd want to run my career is how he's doing his, the way he treats people and the culture that he's created is, it's very inspiring.
Not that you need any help with songwriting, but did you get a chance to do any jam sessions with him or pick up some tips?
No, it's funny because you always look back, you're like, I would have loved to have written, but it's also at the same time you're playing shows, and so the last thing you want to do when you finish a show is like, should we sit down and write? Like, it's just not how it works, and he is genuinely one of my favorite songwriters. Like, even the songs he's written for other people, there's like Anne Marie song I love, there's so many songs of his, Keith, Parallel Lines, that he's written. So I think one day that would obviously be on the bucket list, but it was really lovely to have this time just to actually build up like a friendship with him, and we did talk a lot about songwriting because I'm a total geek when it comes to writing in Nashville, and he is the same. Like, he lives in Nashville half the time, so he knows everybody and everything that's going on, which was really cool to kind of discover that about him. And we were just geeking out on a lot of stuff, which was really fun.
Well, let's get on to the subject of Keith. Obviously, there's the song which we'll cover in a moment, but you're the first New Zealand-born artist since Keith Urban to win Toyota Star Maker.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I mean, that for me was like a really big moment of kind of, like, I guess in life you have those moments where you're like, am I doing the right thing? And I'd moved to Australia when I was 21 by myself and didn't have any plan. Like, literally was just like, I just want to do country music, and Aussie it just was kind of calling me at this point. And to come and win Star Maker was like a big, like I said, a big moment of like, you're on the right path kind of thing. And then obviously through the Keith thing, I got the call up to go and sing on one of his tours with him that year, which was amazing to connect that dot, because he'd won Star Maker back in 1990. So, there'd been there's a long line of history there. And yeah, it's pretty amazing to know that like you're running in a similar steps to him in terms of early days of a career,
It would have been very nerve-wracking performing that song in front of him. I mean, you did an incredible job. How many, was it 13 of his actual tracks that you fit in that song, or song titles?
Yeah, I think it is. I feel like I counted, and then he released like he's got We Were Us, and then I think he released a song called We Were, and I was like, oh, that has to go on there as well. So I think there's about 13 or 14 now, um, which yeah was really fun to write. It's like the fastest song I've ever written. I think it only took us about 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we just had this groove, and I'd had this like melody and idea on my phone for about a year and a half before I took it, to anyone to write with, and so it kind of just really laid out really quickly. And I had no intention of releasing that song. Like I thought that song was kind of just off limits, like a tribute to someone. I don't know. I felt really weird about it. And I didn't want it to be a weird thing. And so the demo sat with me for another year, I guess. And I just kept going back to it. And you always know, I think, as a writer, when you play a demo and you're like, I want to listen to that again. Like when I get that feeling when I'm driving around in my car where I'm like, I want to listen to that again, then I kind of get a really good gut feel about like, well, if I like it, somebody else might like it too. So yeah.
Did you expect it to blow up as big as what it has?
No, definitely not. I did not expect that at all. That was literally through the voice, but then obviously social media, like that song just went gangbusters on TikTok, and I had just got TikTok, so I didn't even know how to use it. And I think I went from 400 to like 100,000 followers overnight. Like it was
Wow.
nuts. And not just New Zealand and Australia either, which was crazy. Like I think 70% of my audience is American now, which is again just like insane to me. And also like really, really exciting. You want songs like that to go and find their people and find a home in people's lives that connect. So yeah, that song has been like a little gift, I think, for me. And it's like the little gift that keeps on giving, which is really nice.
So other than the obvious Keith Urban, was it written about anybody in specific or anybody in particular?
No, not at all. Like it was really the concept was I want to try and cram as many Keith Urban song titles into a song and try and make it make sense. Like that was literally what I had in my mind. And so yeah, it generally wasn't specific. I mean, you can look at it in a lot of ways. I guess it's a love song. It's a nice reminiscent song of summers and young love. And I think everyone kind of has that, and they have songs from those moments in their life when you're young that you kind of take with you. So yeah, I think it's like I love when you write a song and you put it out and it kind of feels like you're handing it over. Like it doesn't feel like my song anymore, which I love. I feel like it's so many people's song. Yeah.
Now you've just released a new single, Boots and All. Music video, I think, was 2 weeks ago. That you just are the gift that keeps on giving. You're non-stop, aren't you?
Thank you. That was fun. Boots is fun. Like that song to me is just such joy. And we started playing it during the Ed shows. So that was the first time we'd actually played it as a band. And that was the song that really reacted. And I think it's really nice when you get that live reaction. And I think it's going to be a song, like for me, Keith is a song in our set that's like always going to be a staple song. But I think Boots is going to be one as well because it just feels really good live. Like it's just so much fun. It's got that like Shania cheek to it. And yeah, the video was it was so cool. I basically was just like, let's go Coyote Ugly on this. And, it was crazy because we found this bar and like literally in the middle of Auckland that looked like a Nashville bar. Like you walk in and there's like this American flag and everything is just so country and American about it. And like, what is this bar doing here? It's like it's asking for a music video kind of thing. So we had these incredible dancers who they'd just been dancing at the Super Bowl like 2 weeks before, and then they were literally in my music video. I'm like, there's nothing more humbling than dancing with good dancers. It was such a cool day, like just having so many amazing people around me in their fields, it was so much fun.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. I'm assuming music's been part of the family for a very long time.
Yeah, I started when I was 4 and my brother and sister played as well. So we did a lot of country music competitions around New Zealand, and my grandparents always had American country CDs that they'd get for us somehow and send them down. Like we lived in a small town, so we didn't have access to, music stores. So I learned a lot through country music awards because we were at them every weekend and everyone was singing, country songs and covers of American country songs. So I just think from a young age, I got exposed to a lot of different country songs there. And then I was also obsessed with the radio. And because we spent a lot of time traveling, obviously being from a small spot, you've got to get out and travel, and we played a lot of sport and did a lot of music. So we spent a lot of time in the car, and I think that's where like my love of like pop music came from, and melodies, because we just listened so much to the radio.
While it is in some ways challenging because music is so much more accessible these days, do you think there's a little bit more creative freedom, particularly in the genres like country music and pop? There's a lot more crossover. Do you think it's made your career a little bit more fun as a result, being able to play here, there, and everywhere?
Yeah, you're right. I think it's such an interesting time in music at the moment, because music is accessible, because the collaborations that are happening at the moment. I think, genres were essentially so you could walk into a CD store and know where to go. Whereas without the actual physical CD store, it's like you go to Spotify or whatever, Apple, and you don't really need the genre thing, just isn't as big a thing anymore. And I think it's, like I said, I'm so excited by it, because it's like it's a very experimental time. And I really think we're having this moment of 90s music come back, especially 90s country, which was my favorite growing up. So it's been really cool to bring that back. I know like Shania was a massive influence for me, like the live show, and that's kind of where we've come from live. We have quite a rock undertone to my live show, so everything is a lot more rocked up than what you hear when you listen online or whatever. So yeah, music is ever growing. I think country music's particularly interesting because it's growing so quickly. I think it's the fastest growing genre in the world right now, and I think it's breaking down a lot of walls, and it's becoming very mainstream, which is pretty exciting, I have to say.
Well, considering it was very mainstream in the 90s thanks to the likes of Shania.
Exactly. And it just kind of, I feel like it really did disappear, like my whole childhood. I'd never had a single friend at school that listened to country music, wasn't on the radio, was something I did with my family in the weekends. And so now to have like Morgan Wallen on mainstream, like Boots has just gone to mainstream radio here. I just love turning on the radio and now hearing it and it being really normalized. And now all my friends that didn't listen to it growing up are coming to me and be like, oh, do you know this artist? Do you know that artist? And it's like, this is so cool.
Finally!
Finally.
You understand.
For 20 years.
I mean, in a lot of ways, there has been a bit of a stigma with country music. My dog died, my wife left me, but
Absolutely.
It's so much more than that, isn't it?
It is. And the thing I love about it is it's kind of age, appropriate for everyone. It's non-offensive. So the amount of cafes that I go to that play it is awesome, but then also it's like there's also specific songs to match any moment in your life, I think, because lyrically it's just so sensitive and it's like specific, and I think there's something really beautiful about that, like you can have a song for a wedding, but then you can also have one for a funeral. Like it's just, I don't know, I think there's something for everyone within the genre.
Is there anybody particularly in the industry that you'd like to work with or collaborate with?
So many people. I mean, Shania's probably my bucket list now. Because I mean, after Ed, I was like, well, where to now?
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. So Shania, Keith, I'd love to get a song with Keith. I feel like stylistically that would be so much fun. And yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Nashville writing, and I think that's where the greatest writers are, just because it's treated like a real job and with so much care and so much respect. So I'm excited to spend a lot more time over there this year and actually just really hone into the writing side of things. I think will be really, really exciting.
Well, you've already worked with some pretty incredible people with the industry, haven't you?
Absolutely. I've been really spoiled, and I don't know, there's something about country music where the people are amazing, and I don't mean that lightly. Like I know that in other genres it's not that great, and like the more famous, almost like the nicer they are, which has been so amazing to see. Like Keith is one of my favorite humans. Ed is now one of my favorite humans, and they treat you like you're just really normal, like you're one of them. And it's like, I think that's a lot to be said for our genre, because it's very people driven. Like the fans have a lot of say, and the fans are really connected and involved in a really, really celebratory way, which is, it's cool to see, because I just think with other genres, like pop is like the artist is here and the audience is very much over here, and that's kind of off limits, where it's like all of these supports that we've done and things like, Brad Paisley, another one, like they were just so lovely and so happy to come and give you some time and talk to you and stuff, which is really, really encouraging. Yeah.
Do you think things like COVID has had a dramatical effect too on appreciating each other more, even, as a musician? Because musicians probably were one of the ones that got hit the hardest
Yeah,
because particularly Australian were hit with the fires and the floods and,
totally.
you're the first response. Do you think that's kind of changed the attitude in the industry a bit too?
Yeah, and I honestly have felt that quite, like, I remember after COVID, probably one of the first gigs we did back was CMC Rocks last year when it was in September. And we were all, like, my band and I were all blown away by that. Like, we played a 2 o'clock in the afternoon spot and the place was packed, like beyond packed. Like, it was amazing. And we were like, I think this is COVID, like people were like just so excited to get back and support music. And then same with the backstage. It was just like everyone was so grateful to be there. And it's like, I know bad things, it's like, it's not ideal, but if that's what comes out of it, it's like, yay, we've all learned something, right? Like, we all love live music. We've all really missed it. We know how important it is for like our well-being. And during COVID, I actually really was quite active about making sure that, like, my band, we still caught up every week. We were still rehearsing, even though we didn't have a single gig for like a year and a half, more for mental health. And just because I knew that at some point we were going to need to be ready to go again. And I think it was the best thing we did, because we came out of that with just such a confidence that I think we kind of established within ourselves and within our crew. During that time off, there's definitely a lot to be said for that. Yeah.
And definitely on the mental health side of things, because personally I think that was probably the biggest pandemic of them all.
I agree. You're so right. It's and I've really noticed that even coming back into music again, and it's been hectic, like especially with this Ed tour, and just the start of this year has been quite hectic for us. And I've really just been so aware of mental health lately, and same for myself. It's like I really have to look after myself, which is something that I don't think we talk about enough, but it's like, it's little things, it's like just finding ways to switch off, because this industry it's just you constantly trying to think of what's next, and it's just it is a lot. And I love talking about it now, because I think it's really important that we do talk about it, because everything looks so great on the outside, but it's really important that we look after each other within our little bands and our groups and our teams, on the inside as well.
What are some of the other things that you would do to switch off or put into practice now?
Yeah, I love exercising. Like, I feel that really helps me. Taking baths, like going for walks, talking to like friends, like actual bringing up friends that, like, childhood friends and things that are kind of removed from the industry. I really love that, because then you're just like, talking about really normal things again, which is nice. And also I've loved having really good friends within the industry too. I've got some really, really good female friends now that I feel like they feel like sisters to me. And I think that's important too, because as much as you also want to switch off and go and talk to the people that you grew up with that know nothing about it, it's also nice to know that you can talk to people that know what you're actually going through, and you're not being judged, and nothing that you say is like, ever gonna go anywhere. It's nice to have those little trust circles, I think, of friendship that are really genuine.
Did you pick up any new tricks or learn any new skills while in isolation?
I got really good at making margaritas.
I love it.
Like, really good. Like, my flatmates basically had to ban me from them. It's a weird time, isn't it? I look back and I'm like, I don't even know what we did. Like, I don't really remember. That's what's weird about things like that, where you don't have any big events that you're like, oh, that happened in that year. It's like, I don't really remember.
All just
anything.
one.
It was just a blur of nothing. Yeah.
Didn't run out of toilet paper, I hope.
No, it got pretty touch and go there for a minute, didn't it?
Not to add to your workload by any means, but you've got your tour. Can we expect some new music in the not distant future?
Yeah, I've got a couple of songs just sitting that I'm just deciding on which one next, actually, which is cool. And I want to have an album out in the next few months as well, just a little EP. And then I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Nashville from June this year, which means that I'll be writing every day. And I'm just so excited because I've never had that chance to go and base myself there and, like just put myself into the industry there. So I think there's going to be a lot of new music being based there and just being surrounded by songwriters, which is exciting because last year I don't really feel like I actually released as much as I would have liked because Keith kind of had this moment of like, a new life, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then by the time I got around to releasing the next thing, it was like the year was done. So this year I just want to pump through the singles a lot faster, which is super fun.
So you're releasing an EP. Is there any particular reason on EP versus album?
Yeah, I just would rather have 5 or 6 really great singles that I then wrap into an EP. At the moment, like I said, until I'm in Nashville where I'm writing at that capacity, I just don't have enough songs essentially, and I'm really big on being conscious of what I release too. So it's got to be at a certain level that I'm happy with, and it's just fun because it means like releasing them a little bit slower. Also, they get a life on streaming, but we can inject them slowly into our live set, and it's not overwhelming for us or for other people. It's like nice to slowly bring them in and introduce people to these new songs. At a nicer pace, then here's my record, listen to it. Rock and roll, and here's 36 songs, now go. It's like, it's a lot, we don't have, I just know I don't even have that much time now to go and listen to 36 songs in one sort of sitting. So yeah, I'd much rather do it as little baby projects at the moment.
Is it harder with an EP in a sense of you could have 36 songs and you've got to come down to the final 6? Like, how do you do that process? That would be like picking your favourite child.
Yeah, it is a bit. I think you kind of know what songs belong together though, and that can be a production thing or lyrically where you are in your life. And I'm just at a really kind of celebratory time. I just think, having had COVID, and I really feel like it's important to put music out there that's quite positive at the moment and uplifting, and especially because we are playing so much live. It's like it has to translate live, and I want people to come to my shows and have a good time. Like I don't want them leaving, questioning anything. It's like I want people to feel happy from my music right now, and so I think that's probably the theme of this EP this year, and that's why I'm excited to just do EPs each year, and the tone of that will be set by kind of what's going on in the world and what's going on in my life.
Is there any hint of other Australian artists going to be on the EP?
No, I think I did a lot of collabs on my last one. I had McClymonts and Lindsay L, and no, I just feel like at this point I am just enjoying putting out some songs myself this time around. I do have some collabs coming out as little side projects, but I just don't know that they're the right mood for my music, my EP at the moment. Yeah.
So where is the strangest place that you've been inspired by a lyric?
Oh, strangest place. That's a really good question. I'm always kind of inspired. Like my phone is full of like weird notes and observations. That's a good question. I actually have no idea. I feel like I'm always looking for inspiration. So yeah. I mean, there's a lot of weird moments where I'll be sitting at a restaurant and I'll start singing into my phone. That's always weird. And like the shower, actually, my title track of my record, Silver Linings, I wrote in the shower, which was really weird. And I had to like jump out and try and remember what I'd like come up with.
Well, at least you picked the room with the best acoustics.
That's exactly right. You always sound good in the shower, right? And I was like starting this song and I was like, this sounds great because I'm in the shower. And but that doesn't happen very often, actually. That's right. Silver Linings was literally written in the shower. Yeah.
I mean, there's worse places to write it, isn't there?
Yes, yeah.
So for those that haven't been to any of your shows, what can they expect to see?
Energy, fun. My band is incredibly slick and amazing because they work very hard. And we've got a very cool visual show now that I've been very hands-on with creating, which has been really, really fun. And it's just a very slick show. Like I said, we're very Shania inspired when it comes to my live thing. And I've got an incredible team, incredible band that's been with me for 3 or 4 years now who just make it incredibly special. So the live thing is something I'm really, really proud that I've achieved to where I am with that now. And I'm excited for people to see it that haven't.
Well, we can't wait to see it also. Good luck with the additional shows on top.
Thank you.
And try not to get too worn out.
Actual good luck. You're gonna need it.
Well, that's a bit of an exercise in itself, isn't it? Really.
Isn't it? I know. I literally have not thought this through. I'm like, I'm gonna have to get like vocal lessons on how to actually like warm up and warm down properly so I can sing the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day again. It's like it's a lot.
Yeah, don't go doing running or anything after,
no exercise required, right?
Yeah, you've already done it.
Yeah, I'm taking May off exercise.
Well, if people want to find out more about Kaylee Bell, where do they go?
Just Kaylee Bell Music on, I think, literally every social. And I run it all myself, so I love hearing from people. And yeah, a bit of banter is always great. So everything's on there, all the tour dates, a lot on the website, kayleebellmusic.com. And yeah, that's my life.
Well, thank you very much for having a chat.
No, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Follow Level On Up podcast on Instagram.